It's a beautiful day here in Aarhus, Denmark. The 2006 Artistic Gymnastics World Championships. The fourth day of groundbreaking coverage, live coverage on WCSN, the World Championships Sports Network, home of the world champions. And I'm Bart Connor, and proud to be working once again along with Olympic medalist Blaine Wilson on the individual event finals coverage, the first of 2 days of event finals. We will be seeing the floor exercise for the men, the pommel horse, and the rings. For the women, we'll see the vault and the uneven bars. Here is the start list. The top 8 in the world from the qualifying round a few days ago, who will compete for gold, silver, and bronze in the floor exercise competition. And boy, we have a stacked field in floor. Blaine Wilson.
It's gonna be a great competition today. Very exciting, very explosive gymnastics on floor. For a lot of good gymnastics today.
I'm looking forward to it as well. There is the start list for the women's vault competition. For our viewers from the United States, Alicia Shakramoni, the reigning bronze medalist at last year's World Championships, will be contending for a medal there. On the pommel horse, a star-studded field as well. The 8th and final performer to go up, which is somewhat of an advantage for Alexander or Sasha Artemev from the United States, will know what he needs to do if he hopes to win a medal today. He'll have his hands full with the best in the world from China on that event. And then on the uneven bars, right away people will notice there is a change in the lineup. Jana Bieger is competing along with Nastia Liukin from the United States, and there's the rest of the field. Chelsea Memel, who had re-aggravated a shoulder injury the other day during the women's team competition, has elected to scratch and not compete in the uneven bars final today. So Jana Bieger has gotten called up to replace her in the final. We wish her the best on her recovery. It remains to be seen whether she'll be healthy enough to contend in the floor exercise final tomorrow, the last day of these World Gymnastics Championships. A very knowledgeable 4,200 people on hand. They've really enjoyed this World Championship, basically a 9-day event celebrating the best of the best in gymnastics. And we've talked about it during the other days of competition, Blaine. We're right in the middle of that Olympic cycle. It's kind of an awkward time, really, because it's not yet ready to ramp up for the Olympics, and yet it's sort of a little bit too far past the last Olympics. I mean, as a guy who's been through that cycle, what's the mindset right now in this sort of mid-quadrennium period?
Well, you're just trying to get used to the code. You know, it's a brand new code, and I think it's going to take a little bit of time. In the last 2 World Championships, you can see where the code's actually going, what the judges are going to be scoring. But I think heading into next year, you know, being a year that you have to qualify to the Olympic Games, the U.S. especially, they need to come in. They need to have an experienced group of guys, you know, and these guys have been at World Championships, these young guys right here, and go in and do a better job of hitting routines.
They can change the code all they want, but still it often comes down to consistency being a key factor in who's going to end up with the medals. The most consistent athletes here have won the bulk of the medals thus far. Yesterday was a thrilling competition for both the men and the women's all-around competition. Yang Hui, who had been a silver medalist at the Worlds and the Olympics before, finally got his world all-around gold championship, defeating the reigning world champion Hiroyuki Tomita. Fabian Hambuchen had the meat of his life to get the bronze medal. That was fun to watch, wasn't it?
That was awesome. He did a great job.
In the women's all-around, it was Vanessa Ferrari from Italy, the young 15-year-old, who lit up the building with her final performance on the floor. She came back from a fall on the beam. Most of the top contenders for all-around medals had a fall yesterday, so it came down to her floor against the young Chinese Pang Panpan on the vault. The Chinese gymnasts were more consistent earlier in the week, shaky in the all-around finals, and so Vanessa Ferrari won the gold medal, a thrill for her. The silver medal went to Jana Bieger from the United States, a great performance and solid throughout. And the bronze medal went to Romania's Sandra Izbasha. There was a little controversy after the women's all-around because Romanian coach said something about how the American woman, Jana Beger, should have gotten first place because he said, when does it happen? Someone can fall from the beam and still win the all-around championship. Well, Blaine, you and I know it's happened before. There have been some people who've had falls and had enough to still win the gold medal.
In 1997, Ivana Vonkov fell off a pommel horse. No, ended up winning in Switzerland. Obviously, Paul Hamm fell at the Olympic Games.
That's the most notable instance. Fell on the vault and still came back to win the Olympic gold. So it is possible if you're just spectacular and everybody else is a little shaky that basically everybody makes a mistake and it kind of evens out the field.
The tenths add up, whether or not it's a fall or whether or not you're shaky on, might be one or two events. And those tenths add up, and there's where you get your champion.
Well, a lot of medals to be handed out here in the next today and tomorrow. We'll be seeing 15 medals awarded today for the 5 events, 3 for the men, 2 for the women, and 15 tomorrow. So all in all, 30 medals will be given out in Aarhus at these World Championships today and tomorrow. I'm Bart Connor along with Olympic medalist Blaine Wilson, and there is the lineup, the top 8 qualifiers into the floor final. And this is one impressive group featuring Kyle Schufelt, the reigning Olympic champion, Marian Dragulescu, the 2-time world champion, Jordan Yovchev, the 2-time world champion, and Gervasio de Fer, the 2-time Olympic champion. It is an incredible field. And as we saw earlier in the week, this is a very springy floor. The Gym Nova equipment out of France is very popular with the athletes because it's very forgiving. So we're going to see some blow your mind stuff.
Big gymnastics.
Based on their qualifying scores, the top 8 into the final. Dragulescu was first, Diego Hippolyto second, Gervasio de Fer third, Jokai fourth, Alexander Shatilov fifth. This gentleman, Isaac Botea, was sixth, Kyle Schufelt seventh, Jordan Yovchev eighth. But they shuffle the deck and they do a random draw to see who goes first and who goes next. So by random draw, Isaac Botea will be the first up on floor for Spain. Certainly heavily overshadowed by his teammate Gervasio de Fer, a favorite to win the whole thing here.
Starts with a nice layout, full out, a little bit of a hop.
His first appearance in a World Championship final.
Oh, there's a mistake. 4.5 full. Looked like he was going to do a 1 and 3. Nice 2.5 punch Brandy. Yeah, Brandy.
Now, when you make a mistake on a combination tumbling pass like that, the deductions really build up, or the lack of difficulty in connection points, don't they?
Yeah, it's really the lack of difficulty, because in the end, it's going to come down to who actually puts it all together. It's a nice Fedorchenko. This is actually a skill we're going to see a lot of on pommel horse.
Botea qualified 6th into the final. We saw him at the American Cup, took 6th in the Floor X in 2006. His qualifying score was a 15.525. All these numbers are really hard to get used to under this new code of points and new scoring system. A big, unfortunate.
Dismounts with a double layout and doesn't quite get all the way around.
Well, you see him walking off with a limp. We all know what that sting feels like.
It feels really good, I can tell you that.
You can see it in his face.
He needed a little bit more spring on this floor for sure. You see the 2.5. Didn't quite finish it there. Punch layout Brandy. right here. Same pass, 2.5, punch layout, Brandy.
Botellas from Alicante, Spain, coached by Alvaro Montesinos. Okay, now here's the first time we're seeing the A and the B score together. The jury gave him a 6-point difficulty value, the A panel, and you saw his total score there. So I'm happy that we're seeing the A score and the B score. We'll really get a good sense of the difficulty value, which is added to the deductions from the execution side. We'll get a real clear breakdown on how these scores are calculated.
Wow. Handspring, layout front, punch, double front, pike. And he stuck it.
Hipólito, the defending world champion. He won last year in 2005 in Melbourne.
There's a lot of stuff in that one. I don't know if I can. Look, whip 2.5. Punch layout front full, punch front 1 and 3. 4.5 punch double full, punch tuck, Brandy. He's got a lot of stuff in this routine. It's hard to keep up.
And he may not even be the most famous gymnast in his family. His older sister, Danielle, was a silver medalist in the World Championships on floor in 2001. 2002, they both placed 5th at the finals on the floor in the World Championships. Oh!
Almost came up a little short on that. Laid out Arabian 1 and 3. Setting up for his dismount.
Wow.
What a great routine.
And a lot of variety of skills.
A lot.
Some guys are just twisters and some are just flippers. He really has it all, doesn't he?
He had the total package on this one for sure. Dismounts with a nice high Arabian double pike.
Diego Hipólito, very happy and looking somewhat relieved that he got through all the difficulty in that routine.
The sign of the cross. Well,
you're going to need it if you're going to try a routine this hard.
Exactly.
Wow.
A lot of bounding skills.
I would ask for some divine intervention as well.
Whip 2.5, punch layout front full, punch front 1 and 3. That's a lot of stuff to fit. That's a lot of skills to fit in one pass.
And not go out of bounds. Impressive. Hipólito, Brazil. Out of Rio de Janeiro. His coach down there, Vyacheslav Azimov, a Ukrainian who moved there. He scored a 16.025 in the qualifying round.
I think he might score higher than that here.
Qualified him second by a little more than 0.2 of a point to Marian Dragulescu, the one that most gymnastics experts would feel is the favorite at these championships. There it is, the jury A. The difficulty score is 6.7, total 16.15, better than his qualifying round. Hipólito sets the bar very high.
It's going to be a hard routine to beat.
You're not kidding. There might be one guy right here who can do it, though. This is the reigning Olympic champion on the floor. Kyle Schufelt, the 24-year-old from Calgary.
This kid is explosive. Very clean.
Oh.
Little step on that Arabian double pike, it looked like.
All those little steps in the finals count for a bunch.
4.5, full, punch front 1 and 3. Very nice. Wow, whip 2.5, punch layout, punch. What was that?
Full twist to stomach drop.
To prone. Not sure what that fulfills as far as the requirements go, but it's pretty cool looking.
Schufelt, a very likable competitor. Since winning his Olympic gold, has traveled throughout Canada as a motivational speaker. Scored only a 15.475 in the qualifying round. Qualified him 7th of the 8 competitors here.
Dismounts with the tuck double-double. Most people mount with that. Very good routine.
Good routine, but I don't believe it'll go ahead of Hippolito's 16.15. Particularly because of that first tumbling pass.
First tumbling pass. The rest of it looked very nice. Most of these guys will be doing 5 passes in their routine. Fulfill bonus requirements.
Like a diver. Fantastic.
Spotting the floor. A lot of the bounding skills that you'll see, these guys have to spot the floor and be able to punch right out of it.
You see the score to beat, 16.15. Hippolito scored that. This is one of the most stacked fields in World Championship competition that I can remember. 15.7, the score for Schufelt. 6.2, his difficulty value. About a half a point behind Hippolito in terms of difficulty score. I want to talk about difficulty. Here's your guy, Marian Dragulescu. What can you say about this routine? Considered the favorite to win here today.
You know, I had a chance to train with him for a little bit this summer, and he just kept adding skills to his floor routine. You need to stop. Very nice. Layout full out to punch front 1 and 3.
Talk about cast iron Achilles tendons. Wow.
I might question that pass. 2.5. Punch layout front pull. Punch Rudy. A little bit of a hop there.
Scored a 16.25 in qualifying. He could match that. That would be enough to move him into first place here today.
4.5. Double full punch layout front. A little bit of a problem there.
Almost had a major error. Good
but
cover.
He held on. He held on.
We'll also see him in the vault and the high bar finals tomorrow on our live coverage on WCSN.
Laid out Arabian 1 and 3.
On the side.
Setting up for his dismount.
Should be a double-double.
Pretty good routine. Little shaky in some spots. I don't know if it'll be enough to take over first place.
You know, based on the difficulty, there's just an unparalleled performance. But those landings, they do add up. And the deductions are not like last code where it's 1/10 of a point, 2/10 of a point. It's 1 or 3. So a big step. Some judge might see it as a 1/10 of a point deduction. Some judge might see it as 3/10. And boy, that's going to matter here in the finals.
Judge's discretion. And it's hard to leave it up to the judge. You never want to do that. Ever.
I praise you for that, my friend. Take it out of the judge's hands.
Absolutely. Much like Hambukin yesterday, that kid stuck a lot of different landings, and that's it. That's the key right there.
Dan Grecu, the great legend of gymnastics from Romania, the head coach there. They train all in Bucharest. Dragulescu has 8 world and Olympic medals to date, just 26 years of age. He was married earlier this year and has a young daughter named Beatrice and another child on the way. You spent some time with him this summer. He's a fun guy to be around. Dragulescu.
He's hilarious.
He is funny.
He's not afraid of too much. That's for sure.
16.25. He matches his score from qualifying. 6.9 his difficulty score. 0.2 of a point more than Hippolito. That is the difference, which moves him into first place. So he could. What do you think? A little shaky landings, but he had more difficulty.
Yeah. You know, once again, it depends on what the judges see.
That's a tough one because he might have gotten the benefit.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm just watching. 4.5 full. Rudy punch front 1 and 3.
Now, you want to be diplomatic. You're coming back to gymnastics.
Yeah,
you want to be nice to all these people.
I can't say anything about it. Laid out Arabian, or laid out Thomas. Excuse me.
Alexander Shatilov, the 26-year-old from Kazakhstan, qualified 5th into the final.
That's very nice lines.
He lives in Israel. He moved to Israel 3 years ago. He was originally from Kazakhstan. The 2005 Maccabi Games, he was the gold medalist on the floor exercise.
Heading into his last pass. Arabian double front, tucked.
Those guys are crazy doing Arabian double fronts at the end. Don't you think that's a very risky move, flipping forward at the end like that?
Especially when you're tired. It's hard to land something going forwards. Whether or not it's a run-up back handspring, 2.5 twisting, dismount, or an Arabian double front. Anything landing forward at the end of a routine is very hard to stick or land. Here you see the 2.5 punch layout Branny. Looks a little taller than the average gymnast.
He's gigantic. Might even be 5'7". 5'8", I don't know.
Very nice first pass.
Shatilov will wait for his score. You see the score to beat. The next competitor coming up will be Jordan Yovchev from Bulgaria. Fascinating story about this guy. He lives in Houston now, still represents Bulgaria. The 2-time world champion on the floor, Yovchev is, and he had to share the world title both times. So once with Paul Hamm in 2003 and once with Marian Dragulescu in 2001. So be excited to see what Yovchev can come up with today.
I've known Jordan for a long, long time. Very good guy.
Interesting thing about the new code of points was really designed to separate good gymnastics from great gymnastics. We'll have to see if the code of points works at this level. There were some scoring controversies after the Olympics in 2004, and this open-ended scoring system, I believe the philosophy behind it was to be able to separate these top 8 guys in the world. It may not work as well for the middle range scoring gymnast, 15.525 for Shatilov. But the philosophy was that at the World or Olympic finals, an open-ended scoring system should provide some separation between good and great routines. Well, it remains to be seen if that's going to work.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like the more consistent you are, the better off you are.
Right. Either way.
If you can add in some big skills and then be consistent, then you'll be winning. 1.5 full, punch front 1 and 3. Very nice. To a layout Thomas. This guy is amazing.
He sure is. He's well known for his work on the rings, but ironically, he's been equally successful on the floor throughout his career. He's 33 years of age. There you go, Blaine. More motivation for you.
Yeah, we talked about this a lot, especially when I was training with him for a little bit. See a nice flare sequence.
At 33 years of age, he has learned to train completely differently. He is in and out of the gym very quickly. He'll work out sometimes in 40 minutes.
40 minutes, the guy is in and out. He's awesome.
He came into this competition with an arm injury. There was some question whether he had a bicep injury, some type of elbow injury. It was never really clear from the Bulgarian press what exactly happened, but looking really good here so far on floor.
Dismounts with a nice full end, little hop. Pretty good routine.
Yovchev, well thought of throughout the gymnastics world. He's been around so long and won so many world and Olympic medals. And a lot of people have their hat off to him because many people felt he should have won the Olympic gold on the rings in Greece.
I fully agree with that.
But guess what? The gold went to the Greek guy in Greece. Huh?
I don't know anything about it. Let's just say that Jordan did a great routine, and I think he should be the champion.
There you go.
He should have been. I think he's been to 4 Olympic Games.
That's right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Heading into his 5th. It's unprecedented. Right here you see his nice flare sequence on the floor.
.6, a 6.1 of difficulty value, 15.6 for Yovchev. The score to beat still is Dragulescu's 16.25. This gentleman might be able to do it. Gervasio de Fer of Spain.
Talk about explosive. This guy can jump out of the building. Wow.
Nice.
Wow. Punch stuck front to a stick.
Landings will be critical.
4.5. Full. Punch Rudy. Little bit of a step there. Handspring double full. Punch front 1 and 3.
Gymnastics fans might remember that in 2002 he won the silver medal at the World Championships in Debrecen, Hungary on floor exercise. He tested positive for marijuana. He was stripped of the silver medal. An American, Paul Hamm, who was originally 4th, ended up getting the bronze medal several months later after the whole incident was worked out through the Court of Arbitration for Sport. So Paul Hamm got a call in Columbus, Ohio and said, hey, guess what? You're the bronze medalist on the floor now.
That's the way it goes if you break the rules.
That's right. De Fer's final tumbling pass.
Nice high double layout. A little bit of a hop.
Well, he was certainly cleaner on his landings than Dragulescu.
Very clean. I don't know if he has the difficulty.
I don't believe he does.
But, you know, I look at that routine, and I think it's the same routine that he did in 2004 at the Olympic Games. He might have changed maybe one skill, but essentially, you know, the new code, you can get away, if you had enough bonus, and the old code, you can still get away with doing the same routine.
That's partly the philosophy behind the new code, is to reward the gymnast who goes to the extreme level of difficulty. Under the old code, routines were judged from the same start value, essentially, even though we as gymnastics experts knew there was a wide range in the mastery of the event.
Absolutely.
16.25, the score to beat. Interesting to see what the judges come up with here. Zhou Kai will be the final performer for this team, individual event final on the floor. The Chinese gymnast Zhou Kai, just 18 years of age, part of their gold medal team performance. 15.675. You see the difficulty level much below Dragulescu's, only a 6.2 for de Fer. So Dragulescu, even though he had some shaky landings, based on the enormous quantity of hard stuff in that routine.
And there's where you see the new code coming into play.
I think that's a good example of that, Blaine. You're right. Zhou Kai, now 18-year-old from China, qualified 4th into this final on floor.
2.5, punch front double full. Very nice.
Zhou Kai, the youngest member of the Chinese team here.
4.5. Punch Rudy, punch double full. A little short on the landing.
How about a lot short on the landing? He finessed it, though, didn't he?
He still got around to his feet. Laid out Arabian 1 and 3. Well, there's something you don't see the Chinese do too many times. 1 and 3s. They land a lot on their feet. They do, usually doing a lot of big skills like laid out double doubles.
There is some strategy to those rollout skills, obviously, because it's very difficult to get a deduction for a landing if you're rolling out. There's a second rollout.
Absolutely. You don't have to worry about the steps.
There you go.
There's dismount. There's a nice high full end, but he steps out of bounds. I don't think that'll be enough to take Dragulescu.
don't either. It looks like Dragulescu is going to repeat yet another world title to his impressive career. Zhokai's pretty happy with that. He's just 18. He's got a big future ahead of him.
Nice pull in at the end. Well, that was definitely an impressive floor finals. So a lot of difficulty. Very nice routines. ...2005 World Championships last year. Marian Dragulescu of Romania. You see the score 15-5-5 will leave him in 6th place for Zhokai. Dragulescu, who will win here today, was just 7th place. A little sloppy. Botched a couple of tumbling passes in last year's World Championships. This year, he didn't stick all his landings, but there's no denying this enormous level of difficulty really paid off for Dragulescu. Definitely did. You can afford to have a couple of steps if you have that much difficulty.
Let's take a look once again at some of the complex tumbling combinations from Dragulescu, the gold medalist.
And it's so hard. You see him once again spotting the floor to know where he's at. 2.5 punch layout front full. Punch Rudy. Constantly have to be ready to punch the floor. And for a lot of guys that miss passes, they're not ready. The floor hits them before they can hit the floor. It also helps to have springs for legs.
In some ways, you can almost muscle floor exercise if you have that additional power like Dragulescu or maybe even De Fer from Spain.
Absolutely, and a lot of these guys are built for floor. But if you put them up on rings or pommel horse, their legs are just too big, they can't swing. So it all depends, and that's where it comes in as far as being specialist on certain events. You know, full and vault.
You know, you see it. You walk into the gym, and these days, because there are fewer and fewer all-around medals. There you go, Dragulescu, the gold medal. Hippolito, with a thrilling routine, gets the silver. Kyle Schufelt, the reigning Olympic champion, will get the bronze. Gervasio De Fer, 25 thousandths of a point out of a medal, will finish 4th. There are the final results in the World Championships on the floor for the men here in Aarhus, Denmark. The way the competition works today, the men will finish their floor as we've just seen. We will now switch to women's competition on the vault. We'll come back for the men on the pommel horse, then to the women on the uneven bars, and the men will wrap up the day on the rings. The women vaulters march into the arena to get set for their first individual event final today. I want to thank Blaine Wilson for his commentary in that first event on the floor. We'll hear more from him a little bit later in the men's pommel horse and still rings. But right now, let's bring into the studio Tasha Schweiker, the world gold medalist and two-time Olympian, reigning, or former NCAA all-around champion from UCLA. Glad to have you back with us, Tasha. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Bart. I'm very excited to be here and watch these event finals. It's the most exciting part of the competition.
We see the women marching onto the floor, the top 8 in the world based on their qualification scores a few days ago in Denmark. I'm Bart Connor along with Tasha Schweikert. We're getting set for the event finals for women on the vault. Different than what we saw in the team and all-around competition. The women perform 2 vaults, 2 different types of vaults, and their scores are averaged to determine who will be the champion today, much like what we saw from the men's floor just now. In women's vault, we have a stacked field with world and Olympic champions all over the place. This is going to be a thrill. Top qualifier coming into today's vault final was Chung Fei from China, 0.675 ahead of American Alicia Sacramone. Hong Soo-jong from the People's Republic of Korea, the 3rd qualifier. She will be the first gymnast to go in today's finals based on the random draw. She does a vault of similar difficulty value of Chung Fei. Hong Soo-jong from North Korea, the 21-year-old, qualified 3rd into the final. She finished 23rd in the all-around here. Has 2 of the most difficult vaults in the final. Her first vault in the preliminary competition scored a 15.525. Her second vault a 14.95. Here we go.
Oh. That was Yurchenko with a 2.5 twist. A very difficult vault. You see there, she just is lacking a little height to land the vault on her feet.
When she made it very well in the competitions earlier this week. That vault is judged from a 6.5 difficulty value. Extremely difficult to pull that all the way around. Gymnastics historians will remember that 2 North Korean gymnasts, women gymnasts, have won world medals. Kim Kwang-suk, 1991, she won the gold medal on the uneven bars. And Kang Yoon-mi tied Zamolochikova for vault silver in 2003. A lot of mystery surrounding this team from North Korea. They don't do interviews. They're very closed off, much like they are to the rest of the world these days anyway. So we know very little bit about these gymnasts, but every once in a while we see glimpses of greatness from their program. But in their closed society in North Korea, we know very little bit about their system and their program in general. In the 2005 East Asian Games, she was 3rd on vault. As I mentioned, they will do 2 vaults, and the scores are averaged. So you need 2 big vaults of high difficulty value if you expect to win a medal today. She went for one of the most difficult vaults in the final. The same we'll see from Chung Fei, that Yurchenko 2.5 twister. Have you been in this situation before? You vault final, miss a vault, have to regroup and step up and do another one?
I've never missed a vault in the vault final where you have to perform 2 different vaults, but I must say that vault finals are definitely a true test of who's the best vaulter in the world. Unlike the other 3 events where the gymnasts will most likely perform the routine that they competed in the preliminaries or the all-around, the vault, you actually have to do a second vault. And that's a true test of a vaulter, because not only you just got your 1 great vault, you have 2 great vaults. So
it really is hard to believe. I was the same way. You know, you work on 1 vault most of the time for team and all-around competition. It is amazing how many times gymnasts don't have the second vault ready to go for the final.
It's very hard, and in a situation like this, if you're just planning on competing in the all-around, and vault isn't necessarily your strong event, you're not going to spend your time working on a second vault because, you know, you're really not expecting to make vault finals. And I feel like that's what happens a lot. Girls don't expect to make vault finals. They happen to do one great vault, come to the vault finals, and you got to pull something out of the bag of tricks and chuck something.
Oh, I've literally seen at World Championships the great Nikolai Andrianov. I saw him relearning a vault in the warm-up gym on crash mats just before the vault final because he wasn't ready with his second vault either, and he was one of the greatest ever. Okay, so her 14.75, the score in the first vault, Hong Shuzhong.
Oh. That's an extremely hard vault. Yurchenko half on, laid out 1.5 twist off. You can see here, she just comes in a little low with her toes. They should be up to the ceiling more and doesn't get enough push off to make it to her feet.
She's doing the identical vaults as Cheng Fei, the reigning world champion from China, who will be the last to go in today's vault final. Now, one added element to this is that the gymnasts have been warming up in that warm-up training hall. They march out and they vault right away without any one touch. I've always felt that this is not only a disadvantage for the athletes, but in some ways slightly dangerous because, you know, the vault situation is different. The podium makes the vault board a little springier. All the dynamics of the equipment are different up on that 4-foot-high raised podium, which they don't have in the warm-up hall.
Oh, definitely. The timing's definitely different because of the podium and the spring that it gives the board. Even the runway, your run is a little more springy out on the podium.
I remember I used to measure my run based on number of steps I took. And then when you get up onto the podium, every step is slightly longer, 14.65 for Hong Shuzhong. Every step is slightly longer, so you had to readjust the length of your run because you're actually more springy on the podium surface. A big change for the athletes, and sometimes I think it puts them at a disadvantage. They haven't had a chance to do that one touch.
I agree, and I feel like it becomes more of a mental game at this point, whether you can stay composed or not.
Izbasha now from Romania.
Yurchenko double twist, very nicely done.
Izbasha won the bronze medal in the all-around yesterday at these World Championships.
You see their great extension in the air, nice form. Lands in the center of the mat in great distance.
That's hard to do. A lot of times people twist off to the side on a vault, especially like this when they're doing at least more than one twist.
Yeah, we've seen various times in this competition where girls have landed off to the side and stepped on the red sides of the mat, which is a deduction, but she does an awesome vault.
She also qualified to the beam and the floor final, so we'll see her tomorrow here live on WCSN as well. Little personal note, my wife Nadia Comaneci spoke with her yesterday after the all-around competition, and she was extremely thrilled to have won the bronze medal for Romania in what we are calling a rebuilding phase right now for sure. 14.95 the score for Izbasha's first vault. She's a very complete gymnast. Not one particular apparatus where she is just blows you away, but she's very solid and has good technical foundation for all of her skills. I expect she to be a big factor for Romania here in the next couple of years. Now,
Yurchenko half on, front tuck with a half twist off. That's a much more simple vault than she just competed for her first one. And as we were saying, with gymnasts being ready with a strong second vault, it looks as though here
she wasn't.
She wasn't. But then again, this is a World Championships in the middle of a quadrennium, and it'd be more important if it was Olympic year to have a strong second vault than it is right now.
This vault judged from a start value of just 5.0, so 0.8 of a point less in difficulty than her first vault. And none of the vaults really matched the difficulty value that we're seeing from Cheng Fei of China and we saw from Hong Shuzhong from Korea, but of course she made a mistake. 14.562 the average for Izbasha. Well, the sentimental favorite, Oksana Chusovitina now. Last year's World Championships, she earned the silver medal. 2003 World Championships, she earned the gold. 7 times she's won world medals on the vault. Just remarkable for the 31-year-old now representing Germany.
Yurchenko laid out 1.5 twist. You can see her, she comes on the horse. Her arms should be in line with her ears. A little broken shoulder angle and a little archy coming on, which caused her to perform the vault a little low and had to take a little leg separation in the air.
She qualified 4th into this final with an average of 14.937. We mentioned earlier our telecast on WCSN, competing for the first time for Germany. She received her German citizenship recently. She immigrated from Tashkent, Uzbekistan. 4-time Olympian, the oldest women's competitor here at 31 years of age. 15 years ago, she was a world champion on the floor at the 91 Games World Championships in Indianapolis. 15.525. Very difficult vault, 6.3 difficulty level. Her second vault in the qualifying round scored only a 14.85. But this vault that she just performed was about 0.5 point higher than her qualifying score. So things looking good for Chusovitina if she can put another vault on her feet.
Wow, huge vault. That's Yurchenko laid out 1.5 twists. I'm sorry, Sue laid out 1.5 twists. Very nicely done. What makes the Sukuhara entry a lot harder than the Yurchenko, obviously you get a lot of momentum from the round-off back handspring coming onto the horse. And here you see it's all legs off the board.
She fought to hang on to that landing. That 1.5 twister as a start value, an A score of 5.7. That will be added to her execution score. And then that score will be averaged 15.1, the average of the 2 vaults for Chusovitina. From the United States, Alicia Sacramone. She's ready to go.
All right.
Nice.
Laid out front handspring Rudy. That was awesome.
That was awesome. The same vault that we saw actually from Chusovitina, but this is about as good as it gets.
See here, she explodes off the board. Great body lines in the air. Knows exactly where she wants to land. That's the difference between someone who does this vault well, is that you see, they actually can see the floor before they land, as opposed to someone who twists into the ground.
She qualified 2nd into the final, a 15.3 with the average of her 2 vaults. Her first vault in qualifying was a 15.55. Her second vault was a 15.05. So a 15.475.
Huge score
for her first vault. Sacramone won the bronze medal at last year's World Championships on this event.
Yurchenko double twist.
Wow.
Huge vault. That was amazing.
Her coach, Mihai Breștean from Romania, now coaching her in Massachusetts. Mihai and his wife, Sylvia, the coaches of Alicia Sacramone.
Comes in nice, gets great amplitude off the horse. And as we saw from aerial view, she actually has gotten the most distance so far from a gymnast performing any vault today.
Boy, and hard to keep such good form on this vault, which is judged from a 5.8 difficulty value.
Alicia's definitely the total package vaulter.
She happens to be a freshman at Brown University and a member of their gymnastics team there. At one point, she was thinking about coming out and competing at UCLA, I believe, Tasha, and then decided to stay closer to home and keep her focus on the Olympics. 15.325, Sacramone into the lead. Yelena Zamolodchikova. In 2000, she won the Olympic gold on this event.
Yurchenko double twist. Very nice landing. A little low on her amplitude compared to Alicia Sacramone. You see on this replay here. She gets in good, gets in pop, but Alicia clearly is higher. She sees the floor for a nice landing.
2 times she won the world championship on this event. 99 in Tianjin, China, and 2002 in Debrecen, Hungary. Took 4th in the Olympics in Athens on vault. She qualified 5th into the final. 15.075 was the score for her first vault. 14.775. So about on target there. The 15.1 the score for her first vault. 15.325 is the average to beat. Typically the gymnasts do their best vault first. Isn't that the norm? And then follow up with whatever else they got.
Yurchenko half on, front layout with the half twist off.
Nadezhda Maslenikova, her coach, happy.
She does this vault pretty well. See a little form break with the legs in the air. And she could have been a little straighter with her layouts. The judges might take a small deduction on that because it is supposed to be in a perfect layout shape. We saw a little bit of pike in her hips right here.
At 24 years of age, Zamolodchikova from Moscow, very popular on the circuit. 14.962 will put her in 3rd place to this point. Sacramone the leader. Zamo's Russian teammate Anna Pavlova now to vault.
Yurchenko double twist. Nice form in the air. You see here from aerial angle, a little off to the side and has to step into the red. And a little close to the horse.
Pavlova was the 7th qualifier into today's team final. 14.85 was the score for her first vault in qualifying. 15.1, a little bit better today for vault 1. her second vault scored a 14.55, so a vault of lesser degree of difficulty.
Yurchenko half on, layout half off. She performed that very well.
Clean.
So here she comes onto the horse very nicely. Keeps this straight body from the horse all the way to the floor with a nice landing.
Good technique, but she doesn't quite get the pop off the vault table that we saw from someone like Sacramone.
Yeah, she does fall off the horse a little bit. Could have gone slightly higher.
She was 5th in the 2005 World Championships on this event. 14.975. She's currently in 3rd. Sacramone, the leader. She waits to see. There are 2 more performers to go. Laís Souza of Brazil, and then the reigning world champion Chung Fei yet to perform.
Yurchenko double twist.
That had some pop to it, didn't it?
It had some pop. Landing was slightly uncontrolled. See her on the replay. Yeah, great amplitude into the air. Would have held the feet down into the ground better.
Laís is 17 years of age. She'll be seen in the floor finals tomorrow live here on WCSN as well. She was in the all-around final, in the top group, in fact, but scratched. 15.125 for her first vault effort. A little bit better than her qualifying round, which was 14.95. So we'll see what she can come up with her second vault. Remember, it's the average of the 2 vaults that will determine the champions. And American Alicia Sacramone sitting comfortably in the lead right now.
Yurchenko half on, front layout half off. Pretty solid vault.
Not the difficulty value that you need to be a medal contender, though.
You see her, she has great body form in the air. Again, could have gotten better pop off the vault and more distance. You see she lands those first red lines on the screen, and judges want to see you get as close as possible to those second red lines on the mat.
Height and distance, form, execution, all counting towards the B jury score. It's actually the score that is determined by performance, and that's added together to the sheer difficulty value. Just like in diving, there's a degree of difficulty of a dive, much like in vaulting, there's a degree of difficulty of each vault. That was a little bit on the easy scale of world-class vaults in terms of degree of difficulty. The next performer to go, and the reigning world champion Chung Fei, does 2 of the hardest vaults in the world, and she does them usually effortlessly. We'll see if she can hit them today to repeat as world champion. 14.987 for Laís Souza. That puts her in 3rd right now. Sacramone sitting in the lead, but watch out. Here is the reigning world champion, Chung Fei. She's just 18 years of age, qualified first with an average score 15.875. Now in the team final, there was some controversy with what she did on her vault. She does a Yurchenko 2.5 twister. In the team final, the judges only gave her credit for doing a Yurchenko double full. I thought she made it all the way.
I thought so too.
But we'll see what she does here today. Oh, she just did a double.
Yurchenko double.
perhaps playing it safe.
She comes on nice, gets great hop off the horse. Perfect technique.
Now often she does another half twist, which is an extremely difficult and risky vault. This time she opted for perhaps the safer of the two. That is the double twister, which has a 5.8 degree of difficulty. The 2.5 twister goes all the way up to 6.5 points of difficulty. Maybe she's thinking solid is the way to go today. 15.425, Cheng Fei.
Although she played it safe, I'd have to say that was probably the nicest double full I saw tonight. Yeah, beautiful.
The score to beat, the average to beat, Sacramoni's 15.325. So anything more than a 15.225 on this second vault for Cheng Fei, and she will repeat as world champion. Her second vault scored a 15.875 in the qualifying round.
Yurchenko half on, 1.5 twist off.
Wow.
Wow. Beautiful landing.
There's your gold medalist.
That was amazing.
That was amazing. Sacramoni and her coach Mihai Brescian know that her effort was good enough for a silver medal. Congratulations to her. But there's no question this has to get the gold medal score.
Not at all. Comes on, perfect body shape. She literally stalls out in the air because she has time to do it. Comes out, knows exactly where she wants to land. That was huge.
That was huge.
It's interesting. Usually think of China as great beam and bar workers, and here's a standout vaulter.
And she is the first Chinese woman to win a world title on vault, and she will definitely repeat. You know, often we say, well, we'll wait and see what the judges do. There's no question, folks.
No question.
There's your champion, 15.712. Cheng Fei will win the vault. Alicia Sacramoni from the U.S. will get a silver medal to go with her bronze medal from last year's World Championships. And, Oksana Chusovitina, if I have my scores right, I think Chusovitina will get a bronze medal. The 31-year-old
good for her
earns another medal for her effort on the vault. Look at that. Cheng Fei, American Sacramoni, Oksana Chusovitina, at 31 years of age, gets her 8th medal in World Championship competition on the vault. That's just all good as far as I'm concerned. You're watching the 39th Artistic Gymnastics World Championships live from Aarhus, Denmark. Bart Connor and Tasha Schweiker calling the action. Tasha, it's really hard to match what we just saw from Cheng Fei on the vault.
I'd have to say this is definitely one of the best vaulting World Championships I've ever seen. Every year, the difficulty of vaults continue to go up, and the bar gets raised higher and higher. It's really cool to see a Chinese up there on top for vault.
The Chinese women have had a spectacular World Championships. They won the team competition by being the most consistent. The two contenders for all-around did not do their best. They made some mistakes. This is a young team going through a transformation of sorts. So the Chinese men have also won the team competition and men's all-around. Great effort so far for them. Next coming up will be the pommel horse final, and American Sasha Artemev will be the final performer of the 8 to go. See if he can, one more shot for the American men to win a world medal at these World Championships this year. I want to thank Tasha Schweikert for her commentary on the women's vault final. We bring back in Blaine Wilson for the pommel horse final. So far, really outstanding gymnastics in these finals at the World Championships. The former world all-around champion, Hiroyuki Tomita, got the unlucky position of drawing first to go on pommel horse.
Definitely never want to be first.
Scored a 15.375 in qualifying. He was the 8th and final qualifier into this final.
And you're going to see a lot of routines starting off with a lot of one pommel work right here. And then heading into a lot of different variations of travels. The Wu into the Fedorchenko, as Tomita did just right here. And back into a Magyar. To a nice looking Savado. So far, so good. A couple problems in the team finals on this event, or actually in the all-around final.
He did have to muscle it through a little bit. Scored only a 14.975 in that session.
It's a pretty good routine right there. He stays on the horse. That's the most important thing. Although most of these guys should stay on the horse. These guys are the 8th best pommel horse swingers in the world.
The favorite today is Xiao Qin from China. 16.175 was his qualifying score. It will be the 7th of 8 performers to go in today's final.
Right here you get a good view of actually where the hand placements are on this pommel horse. Not a whole lot of room for error.
Tomita ended up with the silver medal in the all-around here. Very soft-spoken gentleman at the press conference. They asked him his impressions, and he said, well, I did what I could.
Sometimes that's the best way to go about it.
I've heard some comments from Blaine Wilson like that in press conference. Well, can you expand upon that? No.
No. That's all I got right now. I have nothing else to tell you.
Japan already with 2 silver medals at these World Championships, the all-around. At 15.225. Just about on par with his qualifying score for Tomita. Now up from Australia, this is Prashanth Selatharai, qualified 3rd. Second World Championship final on the pommel horse. We saw him last year in Melbourne, in his home country. Took 7th place in the finals there. Also a very strong performer on the rings. At a 15.7 qualifying score.
Well, that's
nice.
That's normally not right.
Whoa.
Here's an interesting combination. So he started off with the Wu and did a Fedorchenko in between the pommels. A lot of variations of skills. Into another Wu to a Fedorchenko. Very nice swing. Tight lines.
And fast.
To a Magyar, to a Savada.
Wow.
Getting into his scissor sequence. Very nice high scissor full. Setting up for his dismount. A nice Fedorchenko. That was a great routine.
That was great.
It was the fastest thing I've ever seen.
Look, he's a little dizzy, I think, there. Man, nice going for the 21-year-old from Sydney. Qualified 3rd, so the heavy favorites on pommel horse are the Chinese, but isn't that something?
That was a great routine. Normally, you don't see a guy that can swing horse and then go over and do rings.
That just doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't.
There's a certain body style that works for rings and a certain body style that works for horse. What we're seeing on pommel horse is guys that weigh about 12 pounds and are really strong. Well, that works for rings sometimes. But a guy who's good on floor and vault is not a guy who's good on pommel horse.
Normally not, no.
It's the nature of specialization these days. He's much like the Chinese gymnast in build, and he's very slight but enormously strong. I always liked the guy who was aggressive on pommel horse. I always thought that was the way to go. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be aggressive. You can't be tentative on that event, or you'll be falling off for sure. At the same time, if you're overly aggressive, you might fall off. So it has to be an even keel.
But it's better to fall off going hard than kind of
you don't want to. Yeah, if you fall off being tentative, normally the coach looks at you and says, "What are you doing?"
Exactly. That's what I was.
He won't even walk back up on the podium to help you out. Go ahead.
Tomita was the first performer, 15.225. The score to beat there. Silatharai had a 15.7, which actually tied him for second in terms of qualifying score based on the tie-breaking procedure. He moved to third. 15.75. 6.4 his degree of difficulty. Ready to go now from Bucharest, Romania, Flavius Koji, qualified second. He also had a 15.7 coming into this final.
And once again, these are the best guys in the world on this event. Into the one pommel work. Very nice. That good extension on the Magyar.
Oh,
little problem on that variation of the Wu. Heading into his scissor sequence. Now this is normally a rest time, the scissor sequence, but since they added the scissor full in there, you can fall off on that at any time. Into a Savato. And into his dismount. Little bit of a pause there.
He's the reigning European champion on pommel horse. There's Relu Georgescu, the longtime coach of the Romanian team. Koji qualified to the all-around final, but was replaced by Razvan Salariu, who's the youngest member of the Romanian team.
So we had a little bit of a leg split. And you have to see, from this angle, you can see how much your shoulders absolutely have to stay over the pommel horse. If they get outside, you're going to be on the floor. Chalking up.
Most people think in the last 10 years the pommel horse event has sort of been divided up between Marius Urzica from Romania and a handful of Chinese guys. They seem to have won all the major world and Olympic gold medals in the last 10 years. Urzica, the Romanian gymnastics legend on the pommel horse, now retired, living and working in Romania.
I don't know if he is retired. I had heard that he was coming out of retirement.
Look what you started.
I swear it wasn't me.
Oh, man. 15.35. Koji will be in second, behind Silatharai from Australia. Nikolai Kryukov from Russia. Qualified fourth into today's final. Also qualified for the high bar. We'll see him there tomorrow live on WCSN.
This should be a solid routine for him. It's one of his better events. Starts off with a nice travel into the one pommel work that we'll see all of these guys doing. So difficult. So a nice flare sequence. Flared spindle over the pommel. Nice scissors. Good extension. Should be heading into the second half of his routine, which is a lot longer.
They are long.
I mean, they keep getting longer and longer. Savata to Magyar, not getting ready for his dismount. A little bit of a pause.
Okay.
He hangs on at the end.
I always wonder about that pirouette skill at the end, whether you just pirouette till you're done or you
pirouette until there's no more horse. That's where you get your bonus at the end.
You just keep turning until you run out of horse.
Land, salute the judge. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Gonna get a good view of the flared spindle. I'll tell you what, if you miss that and hit your leg on that pommel, it hurts so bad. Pommels are solid.
And shins are solid.
Nothing like bone on wood, or metal for that matter.
I think my shins are still bleeding, and I retired 20 years ago. You still have those gashes in your shin bones from that?
I got notches.
Notches. Krukov at 27 years of age, certainly he's got quite a few notches in his shin bones. Here's a good piece of trivia. He'll turn 28 on November 12th. He shares that birthday with 6 other Olympic gymnastics champions: Leon Stuckel, Nadia Comaneci, Koji Gushikin, Olga Strazova, Dmitry Vasilenko, Demosthenes Tambakos, and American Jana Beger. When's your birthday?
August 3rd.
Did that share that with any other famous gymnast that you know of?
I have no idea.
Got to check up on that, my friend. That's a good piece of trivia, though, huh?
Yeah.
November 12th, a good day for, if you have hopes of becoming an Olympic champion. Jana Beger, looking good for her. 15.45, Krukov moves into second. Feng Jing, 21-year-old, living in Beijing, qualified 5th into the final. 2001 World Championships in Ghent, Belgium. He won the all-around, placed 7th on the pommel horse in the final there.
He's just getting his scissor sequence out of the way at the beginning, and then he's just going to keep swinging. Oh, gets a little off there. Suspend on the end. Good Tong Fei. Betterchenko. To a Magyar. Right into a Savata. Oh, little off on the one pommel sequence, but still hangs on. Right into a dismount. Pretty good routine.
He wasn't sure he was going to compete at these championships. He was a late replacement. 2-time Olympian Huang Xu suffered a chest injury, and so Feng Jing got the call to represent China in these World Championships. He seems at least relieved with that.
I think he's laughing because he knows he should have been off the horse like 2 or 3 times.
Scored a 15.5 in qualifying.
You know, and the Chinese team, they can take guys out and put guys in so easily. There's so many different good guys at their training center. Take a good look at his dismount.
He finished 4th in the all-around in qualifying, but didn't even make the all-around final because his 2 teammates, Yang Wei and Chen Yibing, were higher than him. Imagine being 4th in the world and not even getting to go to the final. That's how good the Chinese team is and how deep they are. And they got lots of those guys, don't they?
They have the depth. As I said before, they can replace guys very easily.
Feng Jing comes from Liang in the Shaanxi province. He lives in Beijing. All the national team members if they get to that level, they're all invited to their national center in Beijing. You've trained over there, Blaine.
Yeah, I've been over there. It's a great facility, and they don't just have gymnastics there. They have other sports as well, diving and I think there's wrestling in there, and some other things. So they all train at the same spot, so they're very familiar with their Olympians.
I remember years ago going over there. One side of the building was gymnastics, and the other side was table tennis. 100 table tennis tables set up, and people playing ping pong all day long. On the other side of the curtain were the gymnasts going. All you heard all day it was hard to concentrate in there. 100 games of ping pong going on.
As long as the balls aren't flying over on the other side of the gym, you'll be all right. Yeah, they have a great facility over there. I've actually been to China a couple times.
Score 15-3-7-5. Feng Jing will be in third place to this point. He modified his routine a little bit, and whenever the gymnasts start modifying their routine, boy, that's when it really puts the pressure on the judges to scramble to come up with the score, because it's extremely difficult to keep track of the difficulty values and connection bonuses on pommel horse, because the skills are strung together so quickly. Once you get behind as a judge, you can't hardly catch up. You can't catch up. You have to be able to pay attention. But anytime you're adding, and you're trying to do skills that are, one after the other, anytime you add a circle in there, you lose the bonus. There's a nice Fedorchenko in between the pommels. That's extremely hard. How about the body position on Robert Seligman from Croatia?
Great lines, a good stretch.
Qualified 6th coming into this final. Oh!
He falls off on a spindle. And that's one thing a lot of these guys are doing, are spindles on the end, and I could see that being worth the effort, but if you're that good at horse, then so be it.
And since there's no connection bonus on horse anymore, basically you have to do a wider variety of skills to rack up difficulty points.
Yeah, but you want to make it smooth at the same time, so one skill into another, it's definitely much easier, unless you can do 100 circles stamina-wise. So
there is no time deduction for a pommel horse routine, but you're right. It's just only so much the human body can do up there before your arms get like lead weight.
Jello.
Unfortunate for Robert Seligman. Sure liked his technique. Rare to see gymnasts from Croatia in the finals at World Championships. He has the right body style for pommel horse. He's kind of long and lean.
Long and lean on this event. That's where you want to be.
He is a specialist. He only competes in pommel horse. There's a guy who probably would not do very well on something like the ribs. Long arms. No guns.
I don't know if he'd score well there. Right here. You can see him just clip his legs on that pommel.
We'll await his score, but the next performer to go will be from China, Xiao Qin. And the final performer today, American Sasha Artemet. The last chance for the American men to win a medal at these World Championships. Artemet has the potential. He's an outstanding pommel horse.
Yeah, he can swing some pommel horse for sure. And he has a lot of difficulty as well in his routine. This next guy about to swing is amazing.
Oh yeah, Xiao Qin qualified first. Sasha Artemet from the U.S. qualified 6th. The only American male to reach an individual apparatus final in these championships. 14.75 for Seligman. Your leader, Silatharai of Australia, 15.7 the score to beat, but that might be all academic when Xiao Qin takes the pommel.
Look at that extension. It's so hard to swing that fast and be that extended. Into a Fedorchenko. one pommel sequence. Look at the extension on those flares.
This is phenomenal.
Getting into the flared spindle. Yourself Krukov.
Defending world champion. Only gymnast here to score more than 16 points at these world championships on the pommel horse. That's a big score on this event.
Very nice routine.
Wow.
I think that should be the first place. That should put him right in the first place.
When you see a routine like that, every other gymnast knows, okay, we're all shooting for silver at best. There's just almost no way you can beat that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The perfect combination of, first of all, high level of difficulty, and you can't beat the form and execution.
The form and execution is fantastic. Extension. Seems setting up for the flared spindle right there. It's so hard to be that extended on this event.
Look at the height above the pommels. When you have that elevation over the horse, you have actually more room for error than many of the other athletes.
He's clearing by half a foot.
Wow. This is his 5th World Championship final going back to 2001. He was 2nd then. 2002 he was 2nd. 7th in 2003. Last year he won. 15.75, the score to beat. That will not be a problem. Expect to score
16s for sure.
At 16 for Xiao Qin. Well, in some ways, American Sasha Artemev is next. He's not worried about the goal right now. He's just worried about hitting the clean routine, shooting for a medal. That is a possibility for him. Salat Arai from Australia has a 15.7. He is the current leader, but that's going to go away right away.
As soon as the judges are done tallying up the score.
Wow. $16.025. Will he repeat as the world pommel horse champion? We'll find out right now. Sasha Artemev. U.S. men have had a disappointing world championships. 13th in the team competition. He, unfortunately, only 22nd in the all-around competition. Had a meltdown on the high bar. A chance, perhaps, for him to redeem himself here.
Definitely. Yesterday's all-around finals, it was devastating to watch.
Aggressive today.
So far, so good.
I love that.
Very nice.
Yes. Outstanding.
And this kid can swing some horse for sure. Look at the extension. Great flare sequence.
How often do you hear a cheer from the crowd on pommel horse like that? This is thrilling.
Nice routine.
We might be looking at a medal for the American men today, folks.
That was awesome. It's good to watch after the all-around finals yesterday.
Oh, it was heartbreaking with his high bar disaster to see this.
It's good to see him come back and totally redeem himself.
And slice his way through this routine. His form and technique is every bit as good as the Chinese gymnast.
I would have to agree. The only thing that I might have seen was the scissor full was just a little low. Everything else is fairly good. A couple little form breaks, but other than that.
Wow, we've documented his story. Born in Minsk, Belarus. His father, Vladimir Artemev, terrific gymnast and now coach. Became a U.S. citizen in 2002. Won the U.S. championships.
That scissor everything I had.
This year.
You see him talking about a scissor right there.
Said I gave it everything I had.
How you doing, everybody back home? I miss you guys.
Nicely done. 15.45 was his score in qualifying. 16.025 the score to beat for the gold. That's unlikely, but we could be looking at a medal for the American men, and wouldn't that be redeeming after having a disappointing World Championship effort so far?
Wow, that was exciting to watch.
The only American to win a world medal on pommel horse was a silver back in 1979. Kurt Thomas.
I would have said Kirk.
Unbelievable.
Thomas Flair.
27 years ago. The last time the American won a medal in the World Championship on pommel. I mean, is that right?
Yeah, we've had some good pommel horse swingers. We just, you know, when you get into finals, you know, Mihai Baju, Jair Lynch. But you have to be able to hit those routines and, you know,
deal with the Chinese guys.
Yeah, it's hard to get in.
It is hard. There's not much room in there. Wow. Peter Vidmar from the United States won a medal on the pommel horse at the Olympics in '84, tied for the gold. Hey, look at that, folks. 15-5. Sasha Artemev is going to get a bronze medal for the United States on the pommel horse. What a moment. That plane ride back to the United States will be a lot happier for that entire men's delegation.
That bronze medal will definitely help just a tad. I'm just excited that he came back after, you know, the all-around finals disaster that he had on high bar and just killed a pommel horse routine.
He ripped through it. Congratulations to Sasha Artemev for the bronze medal there. The winner, Xiao Qin, undeniably the winner from China. Salatharai of Australia, with that impressive routine, gets the silver medal. Krikov, by 5/100ths of a point from Russia, finishes just off the podium. Thank you, Blaine Wilson, for your commentary in the men's pommel horse final. We're at the 39th Artistic Gymnastics World Championships. Live, folks, from Aarhus, Denmark. Only live on WCSN. The continuation of 5 days of live gymnastics, groundbreaking coverage. For the serious gymnastics fan, this is the place to see it all. 3 events are in the books. We've seen the men's floor, women's vault, men's pommel horse. Could be in for a thrill right now. The women's uneven bars. Coming up. I'm Bart Connor along with Tasha Schweikert calling the action. Finals for the women's uneven bars will be next. A little bit of breaking news for American gymnastics fans in particular, that Chelsea Memel, who re-injured or re-aggravated her shoulder in the in the team competition, scratched from the all-around competition, hoping that her shoulder would feel a little bit better by today's individual final, but that has not been the case. So she scratched again. The American delegation keeping their fingers crossed that perhaps Chelsea will be available to compete in the floor final tomorrow in the final day of the World Championships. That may be, however, unlikely. From what I understand, she's still quite sore and may have to protect herself for future competition. So Jana Viger gets the call, the silver medalist in the women's all-around, She's really taken advantage of her opportunities at these World Championships. Silver in the team, silver in the all-around, and now a unexpected chance to win a medal on the bars. Tasha?
Most definitely. I've been extremely impressed with her gymnastics. I watched her in 2004 when I was just leaving the elite scene, and I can't believe how far she's come. Nice shoulder work.
Nice.
Huge release.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Boy, she hung
That's
it out
tough.
there.
Nice. Tkachev. The dismount. That's tough. Started off with a great routine, huge release. And it starts right there where she actually hits her foot on the low bar, which in turn, domino effect, makes her miss her handstand, and she's off.
She just had so much swing out of that release move.
It's unfortunate because I'm sure there are many times in practice she's even done the skill just as huge as that and been conscious of not hitting her foot on the low bar. But you know, when you're in a competition, you're nervous, and the little things you might not take for granted.
Another aspect of this, once again, and I keep harping on this, but the athletes march right out and compete. They don't get a one-touch warm-up. And it's ironic that almost everywhere else throughout your career, when you're in an important event, you get a one-touch warm-up. Here you're at the World Championships, and you don't get to do a 30-second one-touch warm-up before the most important meet of your life. I don't understand that. International Gymnastics Federation feels that all the warming up should be done in the back room, and that the fans and television audience should see just the competition performances on the floor. I asked one official from the FIG once, I said, why do you not let them warm up on the podium? And he said, when you go to the opera, you don't hear Pavarotti warming up, do you? And I said, well, yeah, but Pavarotti can't break his neck if he misses a note. Gymnastics is a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, because they're not letting the gymnasts warm up on the podium, it becomes a mental game, and you really have to resort back to 2 days ago when you got to be up on the podium on the bars. And when you're up there, say, hey, you know what, I remembered it was a little more bouncier, so I have to change my timing on this and that. And it becomes literally 100% more mental than it should be. But
well, that's a very good point, and everybody's in the same boat.
Everyone's in the same boat.
The deal.
You can't change it, so.
14.55 for Jana Biga, 6.4 her difficulty score for that routine. Well, here is the reigning world champion, Anastasia, or better known in the U.S. as Nastia Liukin. She did not compete here in the all-around because of a severely sprained ankle, but she was the top qualifier on bars. A favorite to repeat as world champion if she can hit her routine, as she is known to do.
Nastia always has beautiful lines, as you see on this event. Immaculate toe point. Nice pirouetting sequence. Huge Ginger.
And she was a little off on that combination, but no major error.
Beautiful packed salto. This routine's flowing great. Set up for the dismount. Double layout. Just a little step in the landing, but awesome routine.
And a much better landing than what we saw her in the team competition, where she really struggled to hold the landing on that sprained ankle. She is used to nothing but gold on the uneven bars. In 2005 at the U.S. Championships she won. She also won in 2006 at the U.S. Championships, and she is the reigning world champion here. pirouetting skills. Now, when you're past the handstand like that, that's a real judgment call, whether the judges choose to take a deduction.
Yes, we do see she's a little off. Doesn't quite finish the pirouette and handstand.
Even that pirouette was a little short from the handstand. Be interesting to see what they do with that, because the judges' deductions are 1/10 if you're close enough to the handstand, and as much as 5/10 if you're just barely off it. So some judges might see it as a 1/10 deduction, some might see it as a 5/10 deduction. There could be a big discrepancy in the B panel execution scores here.
The thing Nastia did well was she kept composure in that pirouette and made it look like that's exactly what she was supposed to do. So to the judge's eye, it looks really clean, but we'll have to see what they do with their score.
One aspect of today's final is that there are no Chinese gymnasts in the final. They struggled in the qualifying, ironically. Not too much, but just enough that both Zhou Zhuoru and Pang Pangpan are not in today's final. 16:05.
Well, I'd have to say they liked her routine.
They sure did. First place for Nastia Liukin. She scored a 16:2 in the qualifying round. Just a little off today, but 16:05. Hard to deny the quality of her performances. Mayu Kuroda of Japan. Japanese men tend to win most of the medals for Japan in gymnastics. It's nice to see that this 17-year-old from Aichi Prefecture, a finalist on bars. She placed 15th in the all-around at these World Championships.
Very nice handstands. Good pirouetting. Ono to a Jaeger. Nicely done.
Boy, this is a great routine.
This is
Beautiful.
awesome.
Nice form, technique.
Oh, a little short on that last handstand.
Okay.
Solid routine.
She was 4th at the 2005 World Championships on bars. Qualified 7th into this final. Well, that was great.
I agree. Now, what generally happens with a lot of finals that I've seen on bars is that you'll have your best gymnast go up and there seems to be a lot of mistakes. And the bar champion is then decided on basically who doesn't make a mistake. But so far, it's been pretty good. Two girls hit great routines.
You mentioned that move called an oh no. It's not like oh no. It was actually invented by a great Japanese gymnast named Takashi Ono, who was a former Olympic champion on the high bar back in the 60s, and it's that full pirouetting skill from that twisted arm grip position called an L grip. See there the score to beat for Nastia. You can set the bar pretty high at 16:05.
One huge asset that Nastia has to her bars is her body frame. She's so long and thin, and it makes it harder for a girl who's taller to swing bars. But if you have one that can swing bars, it's the ultimate bar worker.
Daria Jura now, Australia.
Beautiful Jaeger. Great height. Releases the low bar a tad bit too early and gets caught with no momentum on the high bar, which makes her have to stop.
Oh, good save.
Nice save.
How did she save that?
I think it's a little something called adrenaline, Bart. Well, she definitely fought through that routine.
She has that look of, oh, well. Qualified 6th of the 8 finalists here. She scored a 15.275 in the preliminary competition.
I don't know what it is about the bar finals, but it seems like the nerves really get a hold of some people.
And my contention is that just don't have that one-touch warm-up to shake that out and feel how the bars, how springy they are, and the lighting. I mean, all the dynamics of all the equipment is different when it's up on that podium in that arena. Okay, enough of that. I'll stop harping on the warm-up thing, I promise.
No, I mean, it's very significant to part of the mistakes and what's going on tonight. It really is.
She lives in Perth, Australia, in Western Australia. Was born in Russia. Father, a gymnastics coach, and then moved there in 1997 because her father got a job as a coach there. I've mentioned earlier in this week's coverage that several gymnasts have parents who are coaches. It's not that their parents actually choose to coach them. Their parents were gymnasts who work in the gym. The kids grow up in the gym, and they sort of find their way into gymnastics. Even Nastia Liukin, they're the leader. She, her parents are both world famous gymnasts. And she grew up in the gym. They didn't want her to be a gymnast, but she was hanging around the gym, and she started working out, and she got to be pretty good. So there are about a dozen gymnasts here who are actually coached by their parents. It's kind of a family affair. Steliana Nistor from Romania now in the bars. Romania not known for its good work on the bars, but right from the start.
Very nice pirouette on top to a Tkachev to a pack salto.
He scored a 15.2 in qualifying, his 7th qualifier. Earned 4th place in the all-around competition yesterday here. That's a long routine, and it's really long when you miss the first skill for the athlete.
Very long. I'm wondering, nice is not. I'm wondering if she actually added a few skills in because of the mistakes she made in the first part of her routine.
The head coach of Romanian program, Nicolae Forminte, who's taken over after the retirement of Octavian Belu and Mariana Vitang, says we really need to do something about improving the technique of our gymnasts on the bars. We'll be focusing on that over the next couple of years as they prepare for Beijing.
See, her toes shoot out a little too early and doesn't allow her to get on top of the bar in the handstand for the full pirouette.
She's normally very good here.
Catches her ginger a little too close. You see that pirouette, it looks as though she was about to make a mistake and then pushed and pirouette, which in turn, it turned into a great thing because she really showed that handstand.
I got on this track about who's coached by their parents. I might as well finish this piece of business. Sasha Artemev from the United States, Chelsea Memel, Nastia Liukin, Yana Beger, all coached by parents. Naoya Sukahara, Nikolai Kuksenkov of Ukraine, Filip Yanev of Bulgaria, Anna Pavlova, Russia, Fabian Hambuk in Germany, and Kenny Keda and David Kikuchi of Canada. All of them coached by their parents, and in many cases their parents were world-famous gymnasts. 3 other gymnasts who are actually here competing, who do gymnastics because their parents were coaches but are not necessarily coached by their parents, include Dasha Jura, we saw her from Australia, Maxime Yatovsky from Russia and Nikolina Tankusheva from Bulgaria. A lot of gymnasts find their way into the sport because it's a passion in the family. Nestor, the 17-year-old from Sibiu, also qualified for the balance beam finals, so we'll see her on that event. She is outstanding on the beam. We'll see her tomorrow live from these World Championships on the beam. Score to beat still, of course, Nastia Liukin, 16:05.
We used to go to training camp, Bart, back in 2004. It was very cool to see Nastia and her father's relationship. Him being her coach, she was very concerned about his little baby like falling. And so he was always wanting to catch her and never wanted to see her hurt herself. So I think it was cool that although he had to be very strict and hard on her because he wanted his daughter to be the best, he was very, very concerned about her safety.
He's under the bars coaching, and his wife, Nastia's mother, she's usually outside at the concession stand when Nastia is competing. She cannot take being in the gym to watch her own daughter. Anna, of course, was a great world champion in the sport of rhythmic gymnastics. There is Valery Liukin, world and Olympic gold medalist from the former Soviet Union. He won his Olympic fame in 1988 at the Olympics in Seoul. There is some buzz in the arena that Nastia's ankle is still pretty sore. She hurt it just a couple of weeks ago, and that kept her out of the all-around here. She may have to go home and have some bone chips removed from that ankle. And if you have an injury like that, and perhaps even something for Chelsea Memo might need some work done on her shoulder, get it done now, because the build-up for the Olympics starts pretty soon. And if you have to be sort of out of the world circuit, this is the time to be out, isn't it?
Judges still tabulating scores. Like we were saying with the new code, it takes longer to calculate the scores.
We have two completely independent panels. There's a panel, what they call the A jury, that's adding up the difficulty value, the top 10 skills. Then they make sure that all the skills fulfill what they call the element group requirements. Every event has 5 skills they have to perform. On the bars, for instance, it's the low to high bar connection, high to low bar connection. A release move that catches the same bar you let go of. An in-bar type skill, and then the dismount. Then they look for connection bonuses, and they add all that up. Then there's a complete separate group of judges. In this case, at the Worlds, there are 6 judges. All they're concerned about is the execution deductions. They have 10 points to work with. And so from those 6 judges, the high and low scores are thrown out. The 4 scores in the middle are averaged, and then they are added to the A panel score, and that is the final score. It used to be difficult, but now you got to be like a Nobel Prize winner in math to judge gymnastics. I think what they've done is they've weeded out all the mediocre judges. Unless you're really serious about it, don't even try to judge, because it is next to impossible.
It's almost like where's Einstein when you need him?
On top of that, the judges, they code their scores into an electronic keyboard. And there have been some incidents where judges get in the wrong score, and then it messes up the whole system by hitting the wrong sequence of numbers and hitting enter. And so we're just guessing at this point whether the deduction looks, or the delay looks more like it has to do with the scoring system rather than with the actual value of her routine. She's like, well, whatever. There we go, 13.975. The jury A, 6.8 of difficulty, 13.975. Irina Krasnianska, now from Ukraine.
Very cool skill.
Oh, no. And she left out the release move at the end of that combination. She normally does what they call a Li, which is a reverse hecht out of those German giants. Oh, that's unfortunate. Another miss on the bars. This has not been the greatest final.
Definitely not. Especially after a fall, it's the time where your mental game needs to change to finish out the routine as best as you can. And as we've seen tonight, a lot of girls, once they make one mistake, it domino effects, and they start to make a few more mistakes.
Talk about the mental aspect. Not only they're not warming up, but when there's a real long delay waiting for another gymnast score to be calculated. Well, you're standing out there a long time, getting cold and losing the sense of the momentum, really.
Nice dismount. It's very unfortunate. She's got great lines.
Oh, she does.
Beautiful swinger.
The 19-year-old was an Olympian in 2004. She won the bronze medal at the European Championships that same year on the bars. Once again, I think it's amazing when you look at their hands. She just wears wrapped gauze around her hands. No actual leather hand guards that most gymnasts use. You can see her unwrapping the gauze and the tape. Most gymnasts use a leather hand guard with a dowel rod and wristbands and all those devices to not only take the pressure off the hands, but actually to help you hang on better.
Yeah, the dowel rod in the grip actually helps you catch the bar on a release move. If you were going to be on your fingertips and you have that dowel rod, it really helps you grasp onto the bar. I've known a few people to wear the gauze tape grips for most of their gymnastics career, and finally a coach makes them wear the leather grips with the dowel, and at first it's hard for them to get used to, and then they put them on, use them, and they're like, wow, like, why didn't I use this 10 years ago?
Exactly. One of the greatest bar workers of all time, Svetlana Horkina. She never wore grips.
Never wore grips.
She won several world and Olympic titles on bars. We have two performers yet to go after we get the score for Krasnianska. Beth Tweddle from Great Britain, reigning European champion on the uneven bars and two-time world bronze medalist. People who tuned in yesterday watched her have a complete meltdown on the uneven bars with several falls and mistakes, so we'll see if she can recover from that. And then Vanessa Ferrari will be the final performer on the bars. She is the new world all-around champion as of yesterday, and she is outstanding on that event. So these judging delays just kill the momentum, and it's hard on the athletes. It just sort of sucks the energy out of the building. She's like, just give me whatever score. It's not really going to matter. So far, of the 6 performances at these finals, we've seen 3 mistakes. Half of the routines have been missed.
the next competitor up, Beth Tweddle. I really want to see her, hit a routine clean. She's an outstanding bar worker, very dynamic, and is a taller gymnast. So with her clean lines, bars looks very great to the eye when watching Beth on bars.
Actually, 4 routines. Jana Viger struggled on bars as well. So there's Beth Tweddle. Twice she's won the bronze medal at the World Championships. The score to beat, 16:05. Niyukin has set that bar very high.
Very big release.
Nice.
Get it?
Woo!
Awesome.
Fantastic.
She's going all out tonight.
What a recovery from the disaster in the all-around competition. Oh, wow!
Wow.
What do you think about that?
Amazing bar performance from Beth Tweddle.
Very happy for her, just on a personal level, to come back from that disaster yesterday.
It looked like Beth wasn't holding back one bit tonight. She made every skill with the most amplitude and height as they could go, basically.
She was very aggressive. This one handstand was past the handstand a little bit, so that could affect her difficulty score if the judges take off for that, as well as a deduction for not getting close to the handstand. But the score to beat, as we know, is Liukin 16:05. Tweddle in the qualifying scored 15.675. Now, based on sheer difficulty, it's hard to match what Liukin does. But we'll have to see. Tweddle was born in Johannesburg, South Africa, lives in Liverpool. Her coach is Amanda Harrison Kirby, who is a 1984 Olympian from Great Britain. Look at that, folks. 16-2,
Wow.
Beth Tweddle. Twice a bronze medalist at the World Championships. Now sitting in first place with one gymnast to go.
That gold medal is huge for Great Britain.
But there was a wide range in scores of the B panel. I believe I saw from 9.0 to 9.5 in terms of difficulty. So there's where that B panel subjectivity comes to play.
Vanessa Ferrari up in the bars.
This should be fun. Talk about aggressive. Ooh, close.
Close, but keeps her composure. That was the Comaneci. Inverted Stalters to an Ono. Beautiful Jaeger.
Packed with difficulty. She doesn't quite have the big flowing swing that you saw from Liukin or Tweddle, because she's about half as tall as they are.
Nice routine.
Boy, she had to gut it out there a little bit. There were a couple of places where those releases were a little closer than she planned.
A very super fast swinger. And I think that's, the speed she swings, it masks a lot of the mistakes that could possibly go wrong.
She's had a great World Championships. Spectacular finish to win. There was one of those transitional moves which came in a little bit too close and almost interrupted the flow of the swing. reminds me of Ludivine Fernon. Remember her from France, the wonderful gymnast now working in Cirque du Soleil? She has a similar look and a similar pizzazz. The score to beat, Beth Tweddle's 16-2. Nastia Liukin currently sitting in second with a 16.05. $15.775. Ferrari will get the bronze medal to go with her gold medal in the all-around. Beth Tweddle will become the world uneven bars champion. The enormously popular athlete from the UK. She's been around a long time, just 21 years of age, and contending for medals at the World Championships. 2003, she was third. 2005, she was third. And in 2006, she'll step to the highest spot on the podium. Beth Tweddle gets the gold. Nastia Liukin from the United States will get the silver, and Vanessa Ferrari the bronze. There are the final results. The women's uneven bars. The 39th Artistic Gymnastics World Championships from Aarhus continue. The men march into the arena for the fifth and final event final today, the still rings. I want to thank Tasha Schweikert for her commentary during the vault and uneven bars. We bring back in Blaine Wilson for the rings final. The top 8 strong men in the world. I'm Bart Connor along with Blaine Wilson. There is Yuri van Gelder from the Netherlands, reigning world champion. He's considered one of the favorites today. Only qualified 4th in into the individual event final. The top qualifier from China, Chen Yibing, with a 16.525.
He's outstanding on this event. This should be a great rings final. A lot of strong guys. A lot of them look like bulldogs. It'll be a lot of strength, and a lot of these guys have to switch it up. They do a lot of multiple strength moves, but then with this new code, they have to do. If you do swinging elements, you will also get tense back as well. So it'll be a good mix.
First up will be Ivan Ivankov from Belarus, two-time world all-around champion, 31 years of age, from Minsk, now living and training in Norman, Oklahoma, coaches the boys team at the Bart Connor Gymnastic Academy. Proud of that. We'll be excited to welcome him back to Oklahoma when these championships are concluded. He's won 11 world championship medals. His first medal was a bronze on the rings back in '93 at the World Championships in Birmingham, England.
competed against him a couple of times. Nice tip to Maltese. Push to invert. Nice back up rise Maltese. Push to planche. Good positions. Another shoot to invert. Pike Yamawaki to a back up rise straight body planche.
This is his 6th appearance in the World Championships final on rings. Twice he's won bronze medals. 93 and 97.
Very good set so far. There's a nice dismount to a great stick. It was a great routine.
Be interesting to see what the judges do with the scores here, because it's all about angles in these strength moves, and are you hitting them just right? Will the judges take the deduction? There's no question on an event like rings, going up first is a disadvantage.
It is. I've been there.
Have a bad experience you want to talk about, Blaine?
I did a good routine. I stuck at dismount, but it doesn't, it doesn't pay to be first.
Judges tend to be a little bit tight with the scores for the first couple of competitors, because they're basically saving a little room, let's say, for someone who might come along a little bit better.
That's the advantage of, having a high prelim score. You're going later in the finals.
The way they do it now, actually, it's a random draw. So you could be the best guy, and you got to go first. That's just...
Well, that'll help me out then.
There you go. He tied Jordan Jovchev, the other old guy in the meet, for 5th place coming into the final. Their score was a 16-2-5. Jovchev will be next to go. 16-2-2-5. So pretty consistent there for Vanya, as they call him. This guy goes back to the 94 World Championships, Jordan Jovchev. 12 years ago, a rings finals.
And he is extremely strong on this event.
He's been a world champion on this event, been an Olympic medalist on this event. Many people felt he should have won the gold at the 2004 Olympics.
They're in. Tail cross. Go to invert. Wow.
Oh.
Nice. Whip it to Maltese. Push to planche. Shoot to an invert. Well. Nice. Pike whip it roll. Pike whip it. Cross. Maltese.
That's just not possible.
That's wrong.
That's all sick.
And he was supposed to have shoulder problems.
Yeah, right.
That big step is going to hurt him in the end.
Oh, that's unfortunate, because that step is probably 3/10 of a point. A small step is a tenth. A big step of that size can be as much as 3/10 of a point. This is the toughest guy I know.
Yeah, he's tough as nails.
Unbelievable. It was questionable whether he was even going to compete in these championships. He was in the hospital with an injury to his arm. It's unclear. He's been very vague about what exactly happened. He's had a partially torn bicep for 5 or 6 years, and he always used to tell me, he said, I'm just going to go until it tears completely.
It doesn't look like it hurts him. Right here, he pikes down at the end. He thought he was a little bit shorter than he was. I feel his pain.
Wow.
And he's such a good guy, too.
He sure is. He and his wife, Bobby, and their young son, Jordan, they live in Houston. He goes back and forth to Bulgaria a lot and travels all over the world doing exhibitions and clinics, and is enormously popular in the gymnastics community. And he's essentially a professional gymnast. Everything he does to provide for his family is paid for by his competitions, appearances, clinics, coaching. I mean, he was even in a nightclub show in Japan doing a ring routine. It was a way to make some money for the family.
Hey, that's whatever works.
Competes for a club team in France. to make a little money.
Just loves gymnastics.
Well, you have a job for him. He's on a plane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He used to coach at my gym.
Until 40,
and he'd say, I got to go to
45.
Japan tomorrow. I'll see you later. Why? Well, I got a job. He wasn't the most reliable coach because, you know, he got a phone call to do some show in Brazil, and he was on his way to the airport. But a great guy and well-loved throughout the gymnastics community. 8th appearance in the World Championship final on rings. These scoring delays are killing me.
Yeah, they're definitely no good. Said before, it hurts the whole competition.
It really does, and it hurts the spectators. It hurts the television broadcast because it sucks the energy out of what's happening here. There's a lot of great gymnastics going on, but scoring delays are deadly. 16.325, so improved over his score in the qualifying round. You notice his B panel scores, execution scores, range from 9-1 to 9-5. So,
had he have stuck that, I think he would have won rings, sure. Because well, I can't say that yet. I haven't seen the rest of this.
Yeah, there's some good guys to go.
Yeah, but his positions were pretty good.
Andrea Capolino now, the 26-year-old from Cantu, Italy. Qualified 7th into this final.
Kip Maltese push to planche. Push to invert.
Good position.
Pike whip a roll. Back up rise. Maltese push to invert. Down to a Nakayama. Very nice.
His 6th World Championship final on the rings. Gymnastics fans will, of course, remember Yuri Kicki, the great Italian who won about 5 World Championships, an Olympic championship on the rings. I don't know what it is about those macho Italian guys, but they always have some ring finalists.
Great routine up to that point. Try to dismount with a front double pike. And normally you would see a double pike half out, so you would avoid that problem.
Right. You think that's a result of a longer routine, more strength moves, and you just don't have the gas at the end of the routine?
Well, yeah, I'd say a lot of it has to do with that, but at the same time, I just question dismounting forward.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know, but at the same time, the good thing about this code is that in the past codes, you would have guys that could get up there and bang out a lot of strength moves and dismount with a pretty easy dismount.
Double layout. Everybody did it.
Every single one of them did it. But now you have the guys that are up here doing multiple strength moves, multiple swinging moves, and now they have to do a D-dismount.
Good point.
That's a required element. And that's going to separate it. Right here, it just opens up a little bit too soon.
For the best of the best, I think this code is actually providing some place to separate the gymnasts, and we are seeing a little more variety of skills. You know, we see triple backs off rings now. We didn't see those for a long time. It seemed like every world-class gymnast did the compulsory double layout off the rings because they could get away with it. Now you have to have what you call a D value difficulty dismount. Double layouts a C, so everybody's got to come up with something else.
Yeah, you'll see one guy in this competition do a laid-out double-double for the dismount. So it's a pretty good range of skills and dismounts.
So it's an example of the judges demanding more and the gymnasts responding to it. Prior to this, the gymnasts would obviously try to get by with doing the most difficulty, but with taking the least amount of risk. Now you got to take a little more risk if you plan on winning a gold medal.
Absolutely.
15.625 for Capolino. Chen Yibing, the top qualifier, with a 16.525. You see the score to beat from Yovchev. Chen Yibing is the guy, one of the guys here who could do it.
And he can swing some rings.
Wow. And his strength positions are impeccable.
Yeah, great lines.
Finished 4th in the all-around yesterday here in Denmark.
Starts with a nice level kip to Maltese. Push to invert. Wow.
There's no way you can do that.
Yeah. Pike whip a roll to a back of our straight body planche. German. German to Maltese to a Nakayama. He's going to continue to do a little bit more strength there with the Nazarian. Back rise to handstand. Into his dismount. Nicely full out and flares it out and just sticks it. What a great routine.
He was 8th in the World Championships last year, made the final here. Three Chinese men have won world medals on ring. Zhong Zhen won the gold in '99 when the worlds were in Tianjin, China. That guy was strong, remember?
Yes, he was.
Li Ning has won some medals. He was a great back in the 80s. And Huang Yubin won a silver medal in 1981 for China on the rings. Huang Yubin is now the head coach of China, a good friend of mine, and they do an amazing job, their coaching staff, with their athletes, because
I mean, sitting here looking at it, man, these guys are strong. And watch them just show this off right here. Bow. He had to pike down a little bit because he showed it off a little bit too much, but
kind of hung up there.
The judges just remember the stick.
Yeah, and remember that Yovchev took a pretty significant step. His score 16-3-5 to 1 to beat, but I expect Chen Yibing will surpass Yovchev 16-5-2-5 into first place. It's exactly the score he scored in qualifying.
Yeah, I think Yovchev, it's all about the sticks. It's all about the sticks.
Jordan knows it, and you could see it on his face after his routine. Matteo Angioletti, 2004 Olympian, qualified 8th into this final.
Roll to Maltese. Whip the Maltese. Push planche. Pike whip a roll. So far, so good. Positions aren't as crisp.
Scored a 16.1 to qualify. Every guy on rings scored more than 16 points to get into the finals.
That's amazing.
That's pretty rare to see.
That's all high 9. It would be high like 98599.
Translation to the old code, right?
To the old 10.
Oh.
Whoa. And I think, you know, as I said before, with the swing and the strength moves, a lot of these guys will be juicing up for that dismount. You got to stick.
That's a good example. For last year, he would have done a double layout and stuck it cold.
Yeah.
Because of this new code of points, it forces him to at least do a twist on there and take a little bit more risk. And didn't pay off for him, but for someone like Chen Yibing, it did.
Yeah. Pull his feet down right there at the end.
Yeah, he almost ended up on the judge there.
We would like to inform you that some tickets for tomorrow, it says that it starts at 3 p.m., but the actual time is 2:30, so the finals will begin at 2:30 tomorrow.
Three more outstanding ring performers yet to go. We'll wait for the score for Angioletti. The Russian Alexander Safoshkin, world champion Yuri van Gelder of the Netherlands, and Yang Wei from China. Those three gymnasts yet to go. Chen Yibing from China with a 16.525 in the lead.
Once again, the judge is trying to figure out exactly what they're going to do. I was competing, I would be just
Going crazy.
taking too long.
I know. Get me out of here. You know, sometimes the people in charge of gymnastics, they have to modify the rules to benefit the sport, to send it in the proper direction for safety, other things. But you also have to consider the fans. And you see the score of 15-5 for Angioletti. The gymnastics fan base is dwindling, smaller and smaller. Fewer and fewer people see it in non-Olympic years. And it just seems idiotic to me to make the rules even more complex so that the average fan can't get it. Yeah. Even the expert can't get it. We're sitting here trying to figure it out.
Exactly.
And we live this stuff. So the rules have really sort of disconnected the average fan with what we're seeing on the floor.
Variant Maltese.
Nice.
Push to invert. Pike whip it roll. Back up rise. Maltese push to flange. Right into a Nakayama.
Another 30-year-old, Safoshkin, lives in Moscow. Qualified second into this final at a 16.475.
So far, so good on this routine. Very solid.
Oh! What a shock!
Holy cow. I don't know. I've seen 4 competitors.
Well, you know what? We saw the same thing with the women on bars. It took too long to get the scores out. They're hanging out there. They're waiting around. I'm just wondering if these long judging delays are really affecting the gymnasts. They're cold. They're not warming up.
It comes down to they're all holding their strength moves. They're all doing well, you know, as far as the swing elements. But heading into the dismount, you know. I mean,
look at those positions.
Only one guy having a stick. That's unfortunate.
Unusual story about Safoshkin. He quit gymnastics to join the circus. Spent 7 years traveling around the world as a circus performer, then came back to the sport, and for the last few years has really been strong. Contributed to their Olympic effort in 2004. Won the silver, the World Championships last year, and this year he won the European Championships on the rings. Today he will not be on that podium. 15.85. He's in 4th, and there are 2 superstars yet to go. Chen Yibing still the leader. 16.525 the score to beat. And guess what? Here is the reigning world champion. Scored a 16.225 in qualifying, so he'll have to be better than qualifying to win this thing today.
Wow. Get Maltese.
Yuri Van Gelder is 26 years of age.
Pike whip it roll. Pike whip it to Maltese. Push to planche. So Nakayama. Right into an Azarian L cross. Can't beat the positions.
Well, look at that now.
That is going to be a deduction.
Absolutely. Took too long of a pause waiting to time the swing in the rings, right?
Absolutely.
That was a surprise.
I normally don't see that. Oh.
It's like he shrugged his shoulders to set up for the kip, then took a second thought about it.
I don't know. Let's see what the judges do.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
It should be a deduction.
Substantial deduction, I would think. A lot of times gymnasts time, they have a little swing in the rings naturally. So they time their kipping and swing moves to basically kill the swing. Looked like he was trying to judge that, but completely misjudged it. Waited too long and had to wait through another full swing cycle to do it again. Because otherwise, the routine was awesome.
Absolutely. And these guys are so strong. ridiculous.
Another critical thing the judges are looking for when you do a swing to a strength move, do you take like a momentary support and then lower into the swing move, or do you go, or to strength move, or do you go right to it? And Van Gelder was outstanding
Yeah.
at getting right from, let's say, a whip it right to a strength move without any momentary pause to lower into it.
And you have to be really strong. I mean, these rings, not stable. You know, and to put the rings way out to the side and let your body move through that position, it's a very hard thing to do.
You see the biceps on these guys. Blaine, you've been part of that torn bicep club. Me too, my friend. We've all been there. You came back. I came back.
Yeah.
Got to have some guns to do the rings.
I mean, it's difficult.
I think the most important thing the judges have to consider is what are they going to do about that pause? Because technically you should keep the flow of the routine going unless you're in a strength move, which was a 2-second hold is required to fulfill the requirement. But when you're just in an inverted hang waiting for the rings to swing the right way.
And it almost looked like he balked.
He balked, exactly. That's what it was.
And they're waiting and waiting.
I'm waiting. He is this true specialist, does not compete on any other apparatus. If you look at his body style, I mean, there's a ring guy right there.
Yeah, I wouldn't see him on horse.
No, I don't see a lot of fluid swing coming on the pommel horse for this guy. Yuri Van Gelder has won 11 World Cup gold medals on rings since 2003. He's another one of those guys that travels that World Cup circuit, winning prize money all over the globe for his specialty, the rings. 16.525 the score to beat. 16.3. His execution scores range from 9.1 to 9.5. Those high and low are thrown out, and they average the 4 in the middle. Chen Yibing, he is our leader. The only performer yet to go is his teammate Yang Wei, and this guy's good too.
He's good, but I don't think he's got the guns to beat his countrymen.
You might be right about that, but I believe he does the double twisting double layout at the end.
If he sticks it, I'll give it to him.
Okay, we'll see.
So far, so good. Positions are very good.
Qualified third into this final. 16.375 was his qualifying score. He'll need to be better today.
He's losing a little bit on that planche right there. That one much better.
He's had a great week. He is the reigning world all-around champion. Won it just yesterday.
Got too many checks for me to give him the medal.
Yeah, too much swing in the rings.
Other than that, pretty good routine.
Oh!
I'll give him the props for the lay double-double, for sure.
Yeah, it's hard after all those strength
It's so hard.
Well, at this point, we're pretty confident knowing that Chen Yibing from China, his score of 16.525 will likely hold up.
Here you see he does 2 flips, 2 twists in layout position, just comes up just a little short. The guy who sticks wins.
Yeah, that's kind of the theme of the day, huh?
That's it.
Yeah, because at this level, they're all doing almost comparable difficulty. All of them in that 7-point range of start value, a jury scores.
All the strength moves are pretty much level. I'll do them about on the same plane. It comes down to doing a real good dismount and sticking.
Yang Wei, a gold medalist in the team, gold medalist in the all-around. Will he get another medal on the rings today? His teammate, Chen Yibing, will get the gold for sure. The 22-year-old from Tianjin, China, now living in Beijing. The top qualifier delivered in the final. 16.275 Yang Wei will drop to 4th. Here you go, folks. Chen Yibing gets the gold medal. Jordan Yovchev, another world medal on the rings at 33 years of age, will get the silver. Yuri Von Gelder, the bronze. Yang Wei, with that performance we just saw, 25 thousandths of a point short of a podium finish. Chen Yibing, Jordan Yovchev, Yuri Von Gelder, the medalists here at these World Championships. The strongest men in the world. Impressive, huh, Blaine?
Very impressive. I got some work to do.
I got to tell you, I've said this often, pound for pound, I'm not sure there's a stronger athlete in the world than a gymnast, especially a ring man.
Well, you have to be able to control. It's static strength moves. You know, you can lift weights all you want and do whatever you want, but when you put somebody up on the rings, can you actually hold them still? And the only people that I've ever seen that can get up there and do it are wrestlers.
Right.
But other than that, you know, you're talking about static strength. Can you hold your body in one position for 3 to 4 seconds? And it's not just one skill. You're doing 5, 6 strength moves. Or you're moving from a swing move into a strength move. So you have to be able to hold the rings dead still and move your body through them. So, yeah, I'm convinced.
The key in gymnastics, of course, is your strength to weight ratio. So that's why you see that a world-class gymnast is typically about 5'5", 5'6", 145, 150 pounds. What would you say, Blaine?
Yeah, about that. And these guys are...
And their biceps are as big as their head.
Yeah. Most of these ring guys, for sure.
We're looking at one more gold medal for the Chinese men. So far, of the 4 gold medals for the men in these competition available, the Chinese, they've won the team, the all-around. Excuse me, 5. Team all-around, pommel horse, and now rings.
It's a good setup for 2008 Olympic Games.
Yeah, they got to be feeling pretty good about the potential of this program. Today, the Chinese women won the vault gold medal. So far, Chinese athletes at these World Championships have won 6 gold medals. Six of the 9 medals available, they've won gold.
It's like everybody better go home and do some homework for next year's Worlds. It's going to be good.
Next year's World Championships will be in Stuttgart, Germany. added dimension to this competition this year is that there are about 45 countries competing in men's and women's world championship competition. Just the top 24 from these world championships qualify to next year's world championships. And from that world championship competition, just the top 12 make it to the Olympics. So this mid-cycle world championships is added significant because of how they're paring down the size of the world championships. Now, if you're not necessarily on the best teams in the world, you're an outstanding individual based on your individual performances. You will get essentially like a wild card slot to have a shot at competing at the World Championships or Olympics. What's going to happen now, World Championships, we're going to see 5 medal ceremonies in a row for the 5 events that we just saw. This is going to take about 35 minutes to go through all of this. So we here at WCSN are going to take a short break, let you enjoy the medal ceremonies, and we will jump in with appropriate commentary at appropriate times, and then when this is all over, we will wrap it up and say so long for these World Championships. Remember to tune in tomorrow at an earlier time. 5 more events, World Championships. You'll see the men's vault, parallel bars and high bar, which will be amazing.
That's exciting.
And we will see the women's balance beam and floor exercise. For the American audience, we will wait to hear from USA Gymnastics as to whether Chelsea Memel will be strong enough to contend for a medal in the floor exercise. She has that re-aggravated shoulder injury. Jana Bieger will be in the floor exercise. And the American women were not at their best in the beam during the qualifying rounds. They will have no one contending for a beam final. For the American men, their representation in these finals at these World Championships are complete. They will have nobody in the vault, parallel bars, or high bar, but they had one chance to win a medal today, and they did it.
On a great palm home routine by Sasha Arnott.
That was something.
Gymnastics Championships Victory Ceremony. Apparatus Finals, Floor, Men.
Mine damer og herrer, sejrsceremoni for verdensmesterskaberne i idrætsgymnastik 2006. Disciplinfinale, gulv, mænd.
Third place and winner of the bronze medal is Kyle Schufel from Canada. Second place and winner of the silver medal is Diego Hipólito from Brazil. And the world champion and winner of the gold medal is Marian Dragulescu from Romania.
Medaljerne bliver overrakt af
The medals will be presented by gold medal, Professor Bruno Grandi, President of the International Gymnastics Federation. Silver, Enrique Salanitro, member of the Men's Technical Committee of the International Gymnastics Federation. Bronze, Morten List, competition director of the organizing committee.
This was a beautiful competition. All of us really enjoyed it.
Please rise for the national anthem of Romania.
Aarhus by vil nu overrække en erindringsgave til medaljevinderne.
The city of Aarhus will present the souvenir gifts for the medal winners.
Gaven bliver overrakt af rådmand Flemming Knudsen.
The gift will be presented by Alderman Flemming Knudsen. Gymnasts, you may step down. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2006 World Artistic Gymnastics Championships victory ceremony, Apparatus Finals, Vault Women.
Mine damer og herrer, sejrsceremoni for verdensmesterskaberne i idrætsgymnastik 2006, disciplinfinale, hest, kvinder.
Third place and winner of the bronze medal is Oksana Shushovitna from Germany. Second place and winner of the silver medal is Alicia Sacrimoni from the United States. And the world champion and winner of the gold medal is Fei Sheng from People's Republic of China.
Medaljerne bliver overrakt af
The medals will be presented by gold medal, Michel Leglise, Vice President of the International Gymnastics Federation. Silver, Yoshi Haranishi, member of the Women's Technical Committee of the International Gymnastics Federation. And bronze, Kanan Atkinson, PR and Marketing Director of the Organizing Committee.
We say shoot.
Please rise for the national anthem of China.
Aarhus by vil nu overrække en erindringsgave til medaljevinderne.
The city of Aarhus will now present the souvenir gifts for all the medal winners.
Gaven bliver overrakt af rådmand Flemming Knudsen.
The gift is presented by Alderman Flemming Knudsen. Gymnasts, you may step down. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2006 World Artistic Gymnastics Championships victory ceremony. Apparatus finals, pommel horse, men.
Mine damer og herrer, sejrsceremoni for verdensmesterskaberne i idrætsgymnastik 2006, disciplinfinale, bensving, mænd.
Third place and winner of the bronze medal is Alexander Artemev from the United States. Second place and winner of the silver medal is Prashant Salaturai from Australia. And the world champion and winner of the gold medal is Pin Xiao from China.
Medaljerne bliver overrakt af
The medals will be presented by gold, Wolfgang William, member of Executive Committee of the International Gymnastics Federation. Silver, Siegfried Funk, member of the Men's Technical Committee of the International Gymnastics Federation. And bronze, Rasmus Brandtoft,
World champion.
competition director of the organizing committee.
Good luck for the future and for Beijing.
Aarhus by vil nu overrække en erindringsgave til medaljevinderne.
The city of Aarhus will again present the souvenir gifts for the medal winners.
Gaven bliver overrakt af rådmand Flemming Knudsen.
The gift is presented by Alderman Flemming Knudsen. Gymnasts, you may step down. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2006 World Artistic Gymnastics Championships Victory Ceremony, Apparatus Finals, uneven bars.
Mine damer og herrer, sejrsceremoni for verdensmesterskaberne i idrætsgymnastik 2006 for skudbare vinder.
Third place and winner of the bronze medal is Vanessa Ferrari from Italy. Second place and winner of the silver medal is Anastasia Liukin from the United States. And the world champion and winner of the gold medal is Elizabeth Tweddle from Great Britain.
Medaljerne bliver overrakt af
The medals are presented by gold Isabella Koneska Villake, member of the Executive Committee of the International Gymnastics Federation. Silver, Anka Mihalescu Grigoras, member of the Women's Technical Committee of the International Gymnastics Federation. And bronze, Henriette Gorbo, volunteer director of the organizing committee. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of Great Britain.
Aarhus by vil nu overrække en erindringsgave til medaljevinderne. Gaven vil blive overrakt af rådmand Flemming Knudsen.
The city of Aarhus will present a souvenir gift for the medal winners, presented by Alderman Flemming Knudsen. Gymnasts, you may step down. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2006 World Artistic Gymnastics Championships Victory Ceremony, Apparatus Finals, Rings Men.
Mine damer og herrer, sejrsceremoni for verdensmesterskaberne i idrætsgymnastik 2006. De Disciplinfinale, ringe mænd.
Third place and winner of the bronze medal is Yuri van Gelder from the Netherlands. Second place and winner of the silver medal is Jordan Jokček from Bulgaria. And the world champion and winner of the gold medal is Yibing Chen from China. The medals are presented by gold, Ivan Weber, member of Executive Committee of the International Gymnastics Federation. Silver, Savao Kato, member of the Men's Technical Committee of the International Gymnastics Federation. And bronze, Niels Nygaard, president of Sports Foundation Denmark. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of China.
Aarhus by vil nu overrække en erindringsgave til medaljevinderne, og gaven bliver overrakt af rådmand Flemming Knudsen.
The city of Aarhus will present a souvenir gifts for all the medal winners, presented by Alderman Flemming Knudsen.
As we bring to close the award ceremonies here in Aarhus, Denmark, so far the overriding story of these World Championships has been the impressive presence of the Chinese delegation in men's gymnastics. Of the 5 gold medals available so far, the Chinese men have won 4 of them. And in women's gymnastics, of the 4 gold medals available, the Chinese women have won 2. For the Americans, after a disappointing team performance from the American men, in 13th place, Sasha Artemev provided some measure of redemption with a spectacular routine on the pommel horse to win the bronze medal for the United States in today's team final. And in women's competition, well, so far, the U.S. women have been all silver. Silver in the team, silver in the all-around, silver in the vault, and silver in the uneven bars. One more day of gymnastics coming up tomorrow live on WCSN. We'll see the finals for the men in the vault, parallel bars, and high bar. And we'll see the final for the women in the balance beam and the floor exercise. Been a great day of gymnastics. We thank you for tuning in live for this exclusive coverage on WCSN. For my partner Tasha Schweiker and my other partner Blaine Wilson, I want to thank you for watching WCSN. My name is Bart Connor. We'll see you tomorrow for the 5th and final day of exclusive coverage of these 2006 World Gymnastics Championships live from Aarhus, Denmark. So long, everybody. See you tomorrow.